Those Detroit Tigers may not have a very good team, but they may be housing some pretty decent fantasy baseball players. Let's take a look at an overview of this ball club. On paper, it makes a lot of sense that Victor Reyes, excuse me, will be starting as the right fielder. He made a lot of improvements with additional playing time in 2019. He hit .304 in 276 at-bats. They are bullish on Victor Reyes and the prospects of Reyes receiving everyday playing time. So keep an eye out on this guy. Make sure he doesn't lose his job, but he will hold on to the job. They're giving it to him. Okay, the other mix, Travis Demerit, prospect Daz Cameron, who's not ready, and they signed Jorge Bonifacio to a minor league contract. It's an open competition, but looks like Reyes will be the guy. Among the options that they still have, they can still sign Domingo Santana, Lonnie Chisenhall. It's unclear whether they have any interest in them, okay, but they'd like to get additional power with those two. Okay, Matt Manning, Casey Mize are one step away from the major league, so that's exciting for this team. They don't have any interest in Chris Bryant, but they don't. Okay, so let's move on. We'll get back to the offense in a second. Let's talk about the closer. Jimenez is 24 years old, received a chance to serve last year as the Tigers closer. He went 9 for 10 in save opportunities. A solid campaign. He has yet to really cement himself as the Tigers closer of the present and of the future. There's still some split in the camp as to how much potential he has. His slider has improved, but his changeup still way behind. So he's got to come out and fix that changeup. He faces a bit of a crossroads this year. He's still going to have, I won't say a short leash, but he'll have a leash. He'll have the opportunity, though, to solidify himself as the Tigers' closer, even if they win less than 55 and a half games. But he could also punch his ticket out of town. There was a lot of trade interest in Jimenez. But the Tigers didn't feel that they could get a fair package because he's so inconsistent. If he pitches well in the first half, expect him to be a hot commodity. In spite of the fact that he's relatively young and his upside is still untapped, he could be a hot commodity if the Detroit Tigers and Jimenez get off to a good start, okay? He's probably a better setup guy, but you don't have anything better for him on this team to close. Michael Fulmer, his season ended before it started last year when he had elbow ligament reconstruction surgery late in spring training. He's 28. A big loss here. When he got hurt, they were ready to make some serious trades with this guy. Don't sleep on him. He's got a high success. The surgery could have him pitching on the front line in 2021. He'll likely return the second half, but he could be used. He could be used for trade bait. Absolutely. He's become sort of a forgotten man, but he could reintroduce himself this year. So we'll see what happens. Mize, look, in a largely positive season for the number one overall pick in 2018, he definitely established himself as the best right-handed pitching prospect in all of Major League Baseball. His shoulder soreness sidelined Mize for 3 weeks in the middle of the season, but he navigated through his first full season pretty well, had a 2.55 and an 0.9 whip, 106 strikeouts and 109 innings. Okay? He's generally considered more of a known quantity than Matt Manning as the team's number one overall pick. Look, it's very important. Casey Mize is going to be at the top of the rotation in a couple of years. He'll be in Toledo with the Mud Hens this year. Daz Cameron came out of spring training looking like a player who was almost ready to play Major League Baseball. Instead, he experienced more growing pains at AAA. When I went to AAA, Andy and I went there. We didn't see him. He was sick. He's got a lot of tools. His struggles weren't surprising. He was playing at Class A the year before. He had 214, 13 homers, did have 17 stolen bases. Daz Cameron could be up. Okay. Jake Rogers, another guy. Okay. He was part of the Justin Verlander trade. So he's another guy that could be of some interest. Okay. So there you have it. That's just an overview of the Tigers. So let's go to the nitty and the gritty and talk about the Detroit Tigers in just a second. I do like, when you talk about Daz Cameron, you talk about a former, the son of a former Major League player, and, we always get excited when we see those kind of things, right? Especially when they have speed. They're noted for a little bit of power. We fall in love with these guys. You know what I mean? A rookie is a rookie is a rookie. You know what I mean, right? Okay, let's get to the nitty and the gritty. C.J. Cron is their first baseman. Holy cow. And don't think that he was traded because he wasn't any good. That's the thing you got to watch about Cron and Jonathan Scope. It was about how much money they were going to make, and that's why they were traded. I mean, C.J. Cron could hit you 25 home runs as the first baseman. An excellent pick. 250, 25 home runs. He hit 30 home runs, 25 home runs in the past 2 years. Now he's going to Detroit. Look, Minnesota let him go because he was not worth $7 million. Okay? And he was set to make more in arbitration. He had 17 home runs before the All-Star break. Then he had a thumb injury in early July, I believe. Tried to play through it. Didn't have. He needed surgical repair on his right thumb in the offseason, and he got it. C.J. Cron, a great, fantastic pick in a mixed league. Well, a lot of people aren't even drafting him. He's my first baseman. He'll give you 250. He'll give you 25 home runs. He'll get you 70 to 80 RBIs in this ballpark. I don't get it. Jonathan Scope used to be one of my favorites, okay? He used to be one of my favorites. Now he's playing well, look, don't forget. He played in the bandbox known as Baltimore, Camden Yards. Okay, now he's in Detroit, another good place for him to hit home runs. He'll hit you over 20 homers, 6'1", 225, 28-year-old second baseman. Had a bad year. He got an oblique injury. There's a reason why Jonathan Scope did not have a great year last year. He had an oblique injury. Went off track. He lost playing time in the second half when that Luis Arias from Minnesota started playing well. So he lost a little playing time. But he wasn't benched. It's just that they really wanted to see. He got hot at the plate, that Arias guy, and he never gave up the job. That's what happened there. But if you're in need for power in the infield, Jonathan Scope is not getting any respect in any fantasy draft that I have seen. So don't be afraid to pounce on him. Be a big mistake if you let Scope and Cron go. At shortstop, you got Nico Goodrum, but on his back is Willie Castro. So I would take the position that there's a very good chance that Castro will be the shortstop before the end of the year. For Nico Goodrum, could be a good utility guy, playing a couple of different positions. 250, 15 home runs, 10 to 15 stolen bases. Not too bad for the 27-year-old second baseman. But keep in mind that Castro is well regarded, and Goodrum could lose a little playing time. Willie Castro could really take some time away from Nico Goodrum, okay? You got that? Willie Castro, although his numbers might not be 275, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 home runs, same thing with stolen bases, okay? He's 22 years old. They love this kid. He can play the position better than Nico Goodrum. They want him, okay? He was, look, he struggled initially, but he was always labeled the player that they liked, okay? They're giving him another shot before they put. He's 22 years old. He hit over 300 at AAA. 11 homers, 17 steals, got caught stealing 4 times, struck out 21% of the time. At that level, could jump to 25, 30%, especially in his first couple of years. He's got average speed. He's ranked in the 86th percentile. So look, if the Tigers are going to rebuild, they're going to play the 22-year-old at shortstop. So be careful of that with Nico Goodrum. Okay? You got that? I know you do. Moving right along. Love talking about the Tigers. 55.5. 500 to 1, 1,000 to 1. Forget about it. 55.5. I'm gonna say over. Third base. Heimer Candelario and Dowell Lugo. I don't know what to make it of either one of them. I'll hit Lugo first because it's just easier. I don't know what to make of Heimer Candelario, but I'll tell you what to make of Lugo. A little bit sooner than Candelario. Dowell. He's 25 years old. He was one of the many players given a decent run by the rebuilding Tigers, and he failed to impress. He played 77 games in only 245, 6 homers, 26 RBIs. Offense was poor across the board. Walk rate was definitely terrible. He hit 333 in Toledo. They expected something of him, but he can't play shortstop. Heimer Candelario, I don't know. They really wanted him to be something, but instead he's turning out to be a guy that's going to hit you 220, 15 home runs. There's nothing here. He's 26 years old. He started 2019 as the Tigers' third baseman, and he even played the year and hit some leadoff. Couldn't take advantage of it. Went down to AAA, hit less than 200. So, look, third base for Detroit, not draftable, in my very humble opinion. That's the third base in Detroit. Now the outfielders, as we mentioned, you got Victor Reyes, Travis Demerit could get some time. Christian Stewart and Jacoby Jones. Christian Stewart and Jacoby Jones. Let's go with Jacoby Jones first. And I know if you ever visited our chat room, I'm high on Jacoby Jones. I've been. Andreas likes him too. 27. Peak power years coming up. He had a fractured left wrist. Ended his season. But when healthy, 88 games, he's hit about 240, 11 homers. He could steal a base. Strikeout rate fell. Finished with a hard hit rate of about 43%. Barrel rate went down a little bit. It's only a matter of time. This is his year. 6'2", 200-pounder. The kid could run. He could hit you 20 home runs. He could steal you 20 bases. This kid could make a difference in your fantasy team. There's no question about it. He could make a difference in your fantasy team. And I've always liked the kid. Christian Stewart, another youngster, 26 years old. He'll hit you 250 with 15 home runs. Not going to steal any bases. He went down with a concussion, and it was cleared. He was sent to AAA to further heal and maybe work on some of the things. He's known for his power, but only managed to hit 10 home runs in 104 games. He's 26 years old, struck out about 25% of the time. He understands the plate. He had an 8% walk rate. 30% swinging out of the strike zone. That was a problem. He missed the first month of the season. He had a quadricep injury. He should have a role as a starting left fielder, but he's not a good fielder. But they're going to put him out there and see what he can do. That's basically the outfield for the Detroit Tigers. Now when you take a look at the Tigers, their catching spot, Austin Romine, Jake Rogers, we talked about, Grayson Grenier, nothing special. Matt Boyd, you're going to watch Matt Boyd the last 2 years. He's had a very good first half, then he fell off big time. One of the reasons he's had good first halves is because the schedule was easy. So he's somebody that everybody wanted. Matt Boyd. When I take them, look, he's going to be on a bad team, so you can't, it's so hard for these guys. If he goes to a good team, Matt Boyd could reemerge. But right now, if you have to figure, you take a chance on Matt Boyd, hoping he's traded to a good team. He'll have a 4 ERA, a 1.15 WHIP, will strike out 200. He's 28 years old. If you take him and he starts off well, you got to trade him. It's not a freaking secret. You got to trade him. Who else is in the pitching staff? Remember Daniel Norris?